Hello and welcome to this video tutorial from Computergaga.com, and this is the final video of our Power BI desktop introduction series, where we will look at creating two simple dashboards and looking at some of the more useful visualizations that you offer and their interactivity, and then finally how we can share that finished report. So we have the measures from the previous video, 5 measures, and we've also got our 4 tables that are all related. Here is our model view as a quick reminder of that, and let's switch over to a report view to start creating our reports. Now at the bottom of the screen you can see we have one page at the moment. This is our first dashboard. And what I would like to start with are some cards along the top. Now there are a couple of key ways that we can create our visuals. You can either click on a visual from the visualization list and then start to build it up in the way that you would build a pivot table, or you can simply drag a measure or a label straight onto the report area, onto the page, and a visualization is created, which you can then edit. So let's kind of have a look at both. I want total revenue to begin with. I'm going to click and drag total revenue, the measure, from the field list and dump it roughly where I want this visualization to be on my page. Immediately a visualization is created, showing me the millions that were brought in revenue in this calendar year. If that is not the visualization that I wanted, with it still selected, if it wasn't, I could go and select it. In the visualizations area, I will choose the one that I want, and I want a card. As I hover over the visualizations, they will tell me what they are. So the icons are quite small. If you can't tell, they'll tell you, and there is the card. There's some fantastic visualizations here. We're not going to get a chance to look at all of these. We're just going to look at, I think, about 6 or 7. And there's also the idea that you can create custom visuals and download custom visuals. So it's one of the biggest areas of Power BI. It's probably its greatest strength versus Power Pivot and how we can work in Excel. There we go, card done. Just a little over 9 million total revenue. Let me resize this card. And then when you're editing visualizations, with it selected, over here in the visualizations pane, I'm currently in this section, the field section, where I can start to change what is displayed within this card. If I click on the next one along, this kind of paint roller icon, this is how we format our visuals. And this will get a bit more exciting when we start working with charts and the visuals are stronger. But you see there's quite a lot of options, even with just this basic kind of text card. Now I would like to put a border around it. The border is currently set to off. If I click the little icon, turns it on. Let me click away so you can see that lovely border. Okay, next up, let me do the same technique. Next up though, I want percentage premium measure. Drag percentage premium, drop it onto the page, change it to a card, go and put my border on, format section, border on, and then I'll resize it. And look at this. Wow, as we're resizing, look at these lines coming up to help us resize it accurately. Boom, they're the same size. Very similar to what you get, the alignment is what I meant to say there. Very similar to how some of you may be used to in Visio or in PowerPoint. So a really great, simple way of aligning these. Okay, I've got one more. So that's 0.41 there is a percentage. So it's showing me as a decimal. That's not really too keen on that. So what I might do is if I come over and click on my percentage premium measure, and it shows me the measure again back at the top, so I could edit it. And I'm going to change the format to this percentage format. Okay, and then I'm going to take out the decimals, I think. Let's remove my decimal places. And that's what we want, it as a percentage. So you can still go back and edit your measures. Even once the visual's on there, it's not the end. You haven't got to go back, delete the measure, create it again. You can simply go back and edit either the calculation or the format of that calculation, no problem. So we've got that one. Next up, total subscribers. Now, whenever you bring a visualization in, it's a good idea to click somewhere on the white space. Because if you've still got a visualization selected and I went to click on something like a clustered bar chart, it changes my visual to that chart. And I'll go and switch it back to a card maybe. So if you click in a white space first, then you can go and insert your visual. Now, rather than dragging, this time I'm going to click on card. It dumps that visual on the page. I can then drag it into the space I want, do my alignment and whatever else you may want to do to it. And then I can decide what it's going to do. And this is going to be total subscribers. I can either tick the box or drag that into the area. There's not so much here with cards, there'll be more with charts. I'm just going to tick the box because of that, and it's in. So just like pivot tables where we can tick or drag, but most people drag. Format area, border on. So I've got 3 cards along the top, giving me some kind of key metrics, some kind of KPIs or targets, if you will, some like summary detail. So I've got the total revenue, the percentage of total subscribers that were premium, and then also the total subscribers. We could argue that it may make more sense if I move these around, actually, how many subscribers and then how many of those were premium. Seems like a more logical order to think. So, they're in. Let's start bringing in some charts. Now, I want a simple column chart. I'm just going to click somewhere in my white space, click on the clustered column chart, just like you guys may have used in Excel before. We can do some resizing, but it might make a bit more sense once we've got some data on there. I want this column chart to show side by side how many free subscribers, how many premium subscribers. So I could go and tick the measures over on my right hand side. I could also drag them in. Let me tick for this one, total free, total premium, knows what to do, dumps them into this value area because they're measures. Resize this a little bit maybe. And then we can start making some edits. So a nice simple column chart here. Let me align it up. Coming over to the format section. And in we go. And I don't want this title at the top telling me, oh, these are the total free, total premium. I kind of know that. So over here, what am I going for? Where is the title? There it is. Title off. It's gone. I think I'm going to get rid of my axes as well. Let's get rid of that y-axis. Don't want that. Let's bring in some data labels. Let's turn that on. I can always expand these sections to make further edits to those labels. You know, color, the units are displayed, the size, stuff that you guys might be familiar with to some extent for use of charts in Excel or other products. And I think I'm quite happy with that. Does it have a border around it? No, it doesn't. I'm happy. Actually, one more format I could do here is I could come back to format and look at the data colors. You know, if you're not happy with that default style here, I could come in and say, look, I don't want that. I'd rather this kind of bluish color and the other one to be like this kind of bluish color. I can start making my own decisions. Right, column chart in. Let's have one more visual on this first page. And I'm going to go for a map. We have some country data. I want the visuals. So I'm going, click the white space to the map icon. Click the map, drag it into position. Let's say I want this about here. If I can make it a bit bigger, that would be lovely. And then we'll bring in what we want. Look at the amount of fields now. Now it's getting a bit more intense in a good way. So country field, let's expand it. Let's drag country into location. That probably seemed a little bit obvious. Or let me see this map, this information. But then we're going to need something to chart. I want total subscribers. Total subscribers into size. Drop it in there. This will hopefully map this real soon. Okay, and it doesn't seem to be working. So let's have a little explore. I've got my map in, I've got the size in there, the country. Let's go back to our model view. And there is that relationship between the countries and the subscribers. So why doesn't it work? Now, if we double click on the line, oh, look at that. As I hover over country code to date, they don't understand each other. The relationship is broken. Let me double click. This will give us a chance to edit that. And look at this. That shouldn't be date. That should be country code. If I click on that, the codes are the match. I will now click OK and come back to my report view. There was a mistake in the model. Let me get this going again. I'm going to delete that visual and I'm going to reinsert it. Country into location, subscribers into size. And hopefully this will work a lot better. And here we have it, our map. So the first thing I might want to do is get rid of this header again. So with that map visualization selected, over to the format area, turn off the title. And then maybe I'll resize this map a bit more to get some more space from it. And we've got these bubbles representing the size. So you can see a country in Europe there and also in the USA are quite large. There's quite a largest bubble over there as well. If I wish, I can zoom in on this map and scroll around the map, and then we can see it's Germany. That's the one with the largest bubble. And we can see that the French and UK and maybe Austria are a little bit larger. And we can drag around. There's the US, there's Canada, and also zoom back out to see as much or as little as the map as we need to. Let me resize that to try and cut off that edge a bit more. Here we go. Oops. Didn't mean to drag that. Didn't drag it by its edge. Here we go. Okay, so what else can we do with this? Well, in the format section, if you wish to, we can start editing the size of the bubbles. Now, whoops. Got myself a little bit caught up here. Bring that back to 1. I could change the color of those if you're not happy with that default color. We've got options for heat map. Lots of stuff to play around with, putting a border around it. Now, if I switch back to the fields area, something else I wanted to demonstrate here was this tooltips section. And we can do this with other visualizations too. But using this as my example, I want to expand the subscribers table, and I'm going to drag total free, total premium, and also total revenue into tooltips. So as I hover over the bubbles, this little tooltip will pop up and tell me what country that is, how many subscribers, because that was already in the size field, but then also the stuff, the information that I just dragged in there. Total free, total premium, total revenue. I can do that for anything. If I hovered over the USA, there's the revenue and the free and premium. If it hovered down here into South Africa or went into the jumble of Europe and go, oh, that one's Denmark. Yeah, that's a total free, total premium. And we can get our information that way. Want to see something else really cool? Let's click one, like Australia. Whoa, and look at the interaction. As soon as I click Australia, the 3 cards at the top, so 52,000 subscribers, revenue just over 500k, and look at the visual on the left change as well. If I click inside Europe here, who is that? That's Bulgaria. And look at the visuals change, 127k, 13,000 subscribers. Let's click on the US. And look at how it interacts with everything around it. Absolutely brilliant. A little drop on the percentage premium there. It's been 41% for all of them apart from this one. So that was Sweden there. And we can actually change how that interacts as well. So this is the interaction that I was talking about. And with a visualization selected, if I come up to the Formats tab under Visual Tools, we have this Edit Interactions button. And if I turn that on, so a bit like the bold button in Excel, you can toggle it on, toggle it off. As I toggle it on, look at all the visualizations. They all have these little icons at the top of them. Looking at this column chart one, there is an option for none, so I don't want any interactivity with it. There's the option for whether the interactivity is a highlight, which is what it's doing at the moment. It's just highlighting that amount on the column, which is very, very small. Or the option for a filter. Now I'm going to click on filter instead. So now when I go and click on Canada, instead of highlighting, it filters. So I've got the changes to the cards above, but now I can see the difference in the free and the premium. And if I come to click over here, then we've got it for this country. And I click over here and I've got it for this country. And it's now filtering that column. So we can choose if and how the interactivities happen between each one. So that is really, really cool. So a little bit on our map here. What I do encourage you guys, there's links to the files that I'm using in the description of this video. If you haven't already, grab that data or grab some other data you have or you can get online and just play around with this stuff. This is how we're going to learn the volume of visualizations and the options available with them that we have. Now I've got one dashboard at the moment, one page. Let me double click on that page tab so I can rename it just like we do sheets in Excel. And I'm going to call it Overview. And then click the plus sign for a new page or dashboard. Double click on that. And I'm going to call it Time and I think it's a kind of product breakdown. So not the greatest names, it's just what came into my head. And we're going to look at some other visualizations on here. Now clicking the white space is a good habit. And I want to bring in a line graph, line charts. Let's bring this in. Haven't looked at this kind of stuff yet. Now this is going to be over time. Here's some fields for axes, legend, values, and tooltips again, like I demonstrated with the map visual. Now into D-dates. I haven't done anything with dates really at the moment. Month name. This we created with some data analysis expressions, with some DAX formulas. Let me drag that into the axes. So we'll get the months names along the axes. Remember how we sorted them in the right order and that as well. Now I want something to plot in the values. I'm going to plot total free and total premium. Here we go. Months along the bottom like a normal line graph, legend up there. And we've got a plot. And look at how I can hover over and get these tooltips as well. So that is a nice visual. Let's look at what else we can do. Click in the white space, come off that visual. Let's bring in a pie chart. Haven't got a pie chart yet. Maybe we want to use this to show the contribution of how many of these subscribers are new and how many of them are returning, their renewals. So that is the type, I think. So I'm going to drag type into the legend area. And then we need something in values, total subscribers. Here we go. So the total subscribers are now broken down by the type, which is new and renewals. I've got the title at the top. Remember, you can turn off these titles. I don't want to dedicate too much time to this, but I'm going to pop back to that line graph and just get rid of that title. Look at all the volume of options. But I don't want to dedicate too much time. This is where you can kind of play around with this. I'm more interested in seeing what visuals we've got and some of the more important settings. Formatting, we could be here forever. But we've got these labels and the lines to them and all stuff you may be quite familiar with. Now let's imagine I was looking at that pie chart and I thought, oh, actually, donut would be better. Remember, we can click on the visual, click a different one, and it will just change what visual it's using. And now I've got a donut instead. As I hover over the different parts, I get the information. That is 59.87%. So let's call it 60%. And 564,000 renewals. 378,000 renewals at 40% for those. And I could bring other information into the tooltips area. Now, I'm going to resize that a little bit and use some space here for something else we haven't spoken about yet, which is a matrix. They're quite popular. Let's hover over our visuals and get some help. There it is straight away. There's similar looking icons nearby it. Click on the matrix. Drag it where I want. Let's drag it here. Use their lovely ways of alignment to help me. Right, now for this one, I'm going to bring in the countries. I want countries in the rows area. There you go. So this is just like pivot tables. This really is just like a pivot table, this matrix. And I've got that in there. I need something in the columns area. What do I want in columns area? I want the product in there. Let's drag product into columns. Free and premium. And then I need something to plot total subscribers into values. Here we go. And I can resize this a bit more if I want to try and fit a few more countries in, but there's a lot to go. So we've got the countries, we've got a free and premium breakdown. And just like we saw in the previous dashboard, the overview one, I can interact. If I click on Brazil, whoa, look at that interactivity. The line graph adapted, and so did the donut. I've still got the edit interactions button switched on at the top. So I could come in here and say, look, don't do the highlight, do a filter. And now when I click on Canada, it filters instead. France, it filters. Ireland, it filters. And if I hover over, I can see the values. Just shy of 8,000 for Ireland, 60% of them. Click on Austria. I've got 16,000 at 60%. That is some good percentages. And I can click elsewhere in this. You've got to be careful not to click on the headers. That would reorder the countries, by the way, which could be useful. But if I click elsewhere outside of those, that will remove that interaction that I've got. So we can disable this interaction. We can choose which visuals are affected by the interaction. And this is a matrix, a bit like a pivot table, which is just another visual that I wanted to demonstrate. Now, for my final ones, something that you guys may well be familiar with through Excel, if I click in my white space, is a slicer. And this is your icon. I can introduce a slicer. And I could bring one of these in right now to show what I wanted to show. What should I put in the slicer? I could use week name, week number name. Let me tick that. This is something that we created with our DAX formulas in the D-date table. And if I tick Saturday, everything reacts. So this is what's been going on Saturdays. I break down for all of the countries, how many free, premium, totals overall. Got the totals down here for Saturday. If I tick on Sunday, a little bit more on a Sunday. Tuesday. And the line graph is changing to everything interacting with our slicer and with each other. You can create as many slicers as you want. I could bring in another one for free and premium or whatever other data we have to hand. Just like with Canva pivot tables. So let's imagine that this is our finished dashboard. Our finished report. 2 dashboards, 1 report. We want to look at now sharing this. Well, first of all, it's a good idea to save what we've done. So I can click my save button. Now, one way we can share it is just to share this .pbix file. So I've got this file just like I have an Excel file or a Word document. And you can just share this with anybody else who has Power BI Desktop. And remember, it's free. So is there really a reason for them not to? And then they can view and interact with your reports. That's one way, just the usual way, if you don't mind me calling it that. I could also come up to the File tab and I have an option to export as PDF. So if I click on this, it's going to do what it says it's going to do. It's going to export it as a PDF. Let's let that generate that. And we're going to get a nice PDF of it. So, obviously the bad news with PDFs is that there's no interactivity, which is a big thing. But we do get a kind of snapshot, if you will, of that point in time. And obviously a PDF is viewable by pretty much anyone on any device. No special software needed, or you don't expect them to have to need it. It's pretty much a standard thing. It's nice and small to share via some kind of messaging or email service as well. So that's another option. And then the other one is to publish it to powerbi.com. So we can do that through the file menu, but there's also a publish button waiting for us on the home tab. There's also, by the way, some nice themes. I didn't mention themes. Could switch this to a nice Twilight theme. And rather than you messing around with the format and the colours yourself, that's quite nice. A little bit of a fan of the Twilight theme. Anyway, publish button. Click on that. Do I want to save changes? For sure. Don't want to lose that theme, do I? And let's publish it to a destination. I have a workspace. Let's publish it to that workspace. Publish, publish, publish. Did you know? Let's get this going on. Success. I could open it directly through this link, or you can just go to your browser or whatnot and log into, or the app on your phone and log into it however you wish. I'll use my account. Give it a click. Oh, this will be embarrassing. No. Here we come. It's logging in to my account here, and here it is. And it will be fully interactive. So I can interact with my slicers. I can access the other page at the bottom for the overview page. And I've published it to powerbi.com, where I can log into this from anywhere, including my smartphone and my tablet, using the Power BI app, which you can also get from the Microsoft Store, to view your reports and to access them elsewhere. And you see the options along the top to edit and also to refresh as well. So if people are editing the queries in the background or making changes to the visuals, and this can all be refreshed. So I spoke in the previous video, the first one, that there are different versions of Power BI Desktop. There is a Pro and also a Premium version, which do offer extras in the way that you can collaborate with other users within your business and share reports. This is just looking at it in the free version. Anybody can get this and do this right now with the data that I'm providing, what other data that you have. And you can learn the same set of skills, and we can still share this report as I've demonstrated in 3 different ways here. There's also an option to embed it to a web page as well. But you can get more from the extra paid services. So I hope you found this series useful as an introduction to Power BI Desktop. Please go out there, play around with it. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section. And please check out some of our other videos on our YouTube channel and come see us at Computergaga.com.